I think people are doing marketing, 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 and then they're losing people. They're not retaining people. They're not getting referrals. And then they have to stay on the marketing hamster wheel for so long.
So you want to make an impact. You're thinking about starting a business, sharing your voice. How do women do it that handle motherhood, family, and still chase after those dreams? We'll listen each week as we dive into the stories of women who know. This is Call Me CEO. One of my favorite things that our guest today tells us is that no one needs to be working over 40 hours a week to be making multi-million dollars, full stop. Her program is all about creating systems for you to figure out where the gaps are in your business so that you can maximize your time and be more productive. Let's dive in. Welcome back, everyone, to Call Me CEO. This is Camille Walker, your host, and today we are talking about how to maximize your time and your business with Stacy Tuschl. And she is going to share with us how she turned her own music business into something now that helps bless so many with growing their businesses to the multi-seven-figure degree, which is just mind-blowing to me. Stacy, thank you so much for being here today.
Yes. Thanks for having me, Camille.
Yeah. So introduce yourself. Tell us where you're from, how many kids you have, and your story about how you got into this business.
Yeah. So mom of two, and I've been in business. I mean, I grew up in business. So my grandfather started a family business that my parents and grandparents worked in. So I literally was born and raised into this family business.
What kind of business was it?
They were in construction. So, and they still have it. It's like over 50 years old. They dig basements for houses here in Wisconsin. And then right out of high school, I actually started my business, which was just teaching dance classes in my parents' backyard. I had 17 kids show up the first year. And then within 3 years, I had 100 kids. And then my parents and grandparents who are like in this business world are like, we don't really know much about dance. However, this looks like maybe you could be charging and this could be a thing. And I was going to school, I was going to college thinking I was going to get like a real job. And thankfully this happened and they saw this and kind of put this idea in my head. So 3 years in, I decided, okay, let's make this be a business. I was a junior in college and we incorporated. I found a place to rent. And then all of a sudden it really starts to grow. Cause now I'm like thinking, oh, this is it. Like, let's do this. So we went from 100 to 300 to 500. Now we have 1,600 dance and music students. We added music a few years in. And it's been 20 years since the backyard story. And it's just crazy how it's grown. So that's kind of like my first journey. Naturally, what happened was this is like a second shift business. So we teach children. So you only teach kids after school and on weekends. Mm-hmm. And I realized, okay, wait a minute. This is fine now when I'm young and single, but what happens when I want to become a mom? Mm-hmm. So I really quickly realized, okay, I'm going to have to figure out how to hire people and get them to work at night and on the weekends when I want to be a mom and be home and take maternity leave and all the things. So that's what got me on the path of like really understanding systems and understanding how to hire and really trust people to come in and run it like you. And then from there, people started in my community going, hold up, how are you doing this? Like the karate studio was like, could we just sit down and talk? I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? And then like my friend, she had a doctor husband who wanted to open up a Medi spa. He wanted to pick my brain. And I'm like, what? Like a doctor wants to talk to a dance teacher. Like that blew my mind.
Yeah.
And then that kind of naturally birthed my second business, which is Well-Oiled Operations, where I'm now teaching small business owners how to run a business and to get it to really be a business that doesn't need you 24/7.
Yes. This is something I think we can all relate to. And it's something that I actually help with entrepreneurs to do is to hire virtual assistants, but we're talking about physical employees here too. So for those of you who are listening, either way, whether it's virtual or in person, what would you say some of those top tips are for finding someone that you can trust to be able to walk away from the business and have it run the way you want it to be run?
Yeah. And I do agree. Like this could be contractor, employee, in person, remote, Filipino VAs in the United States. It doesn't matter. Like it really doesn't matter. You're treating them the same, right? You have to, first of all, attract a high level performer. right? There are things I say in my job description or in my hiring, kind of like a marketing funnel, but for potential people. I want them, just like good marketing either attracts or repels. That's what I want, right? I will flat out say, like, fast pace, hardworking, great work ethic. Because if you read that and you think, oh, I'm kind of looking for something easy, I don't want you coming to work for me, right?
Yeah.
So I'm very blunt but I also want to attract the person who's excited to work with a growing company in a fast pace and is excited that things are changing. So it's definitely about attracting the right people. And then it's training, supporting, giving them feedback. I see a lot of my clients not having time to give feedback and then blaming the person for not being good. And I'm like, hold up. Like, you can't just hire them and think that you're just going to know what to do. People will say, well, I hired them for social media. Like, they should know what they're doing. But they've never worked for you. They don't know your brand, your voice, your product. So you have to pour into these people for them to really start to understand, and you'll gain more confidence as you do that with them.
Yeah, I agree with that. Is that something, speaking of in person or, remote, how often do you suggest that people have meetings with new hires? If they were to be, in the training process, whether that's in physical or remote, how often are you suggesting people do that?
So we suggest like every day for the first 30 days, which is, people usually don't do that. They're like, what? That's crazy. But then they see my team and then they go, they're so amazing. I'm like, because I pour into them. This is why. It's not like I have these random people who are just unicorns. It's like, no. You get what you attract, first of all, right? And I also think you get what you put in. So we put in a lot, hoping we get out a lot at that end of the 90 days. So the first 30 days, I mean, even if it's just touching base, how's it going? What happened yesterday? Where'd you struggle? What do you need support with? Like, where'd you get stuck? It might be a 5-minute quick meeting, right? And, in my brick and mortar, we still have Zoom meetings. And even though most of my people that work in Well Oiled are local to me in Wisconsin, we all work on Zoom and we all work from our home office. So we're still doing these meetings, like popping in mostly virtually.
Okay. Yeah. I like that. So first 30 days, every day from day 30 to 90, is it maybe once a week or?
So month 2, it's going to look a little different for everybody. It depends. How much should you really pour into them and how fast are they getting it? Sometimes you get somebody who comes in and they don't need a lot of assistance. Sometimes you get somebody who needs a lot of hand holding. So it's going to look different for everybody. But month 2, I might hope to get that down to maybe 2 or 3 times a week, right? Maybe it's like a Tuesday, Thursday thing or a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, depending on the person. And then pretty soon the goal is to get them down to once a week.
Yeah.
But,
I like that.
But even like 3 years from now, we still want to be meeting once a week. Like, I need to give them individual support so they can take it and run with it.
Yeah. That's awesome. Let's talk some about the systems that you put into place and what has made your business so successful, and all of those people that you teach have successful businesses. What are some systems or processes that you swear by?
Yeah. So I think even just taking a step back, I always say it's like the plan, the people, the process. So you have to get really clear on the plan. And then you've got to figure out, who do I need to implement this plan? And then how do I want to implement the plan? And what is that going to look like? And how can I document it so the people I hired can easily follow it? Right?
Yeah.
Those 3 pieces go together. So I can teach you how to make phenomenal systems. But if you picked the wrong plan or you keep changing the plan, I love when people are like, well, my goal was this, but now I changed it to this. And then I saw we weren't going to do, it's Q1 and Q1 didn't go very well. So I've already changed it. I'm like, hold up. We're only in Q2. You've already changed your 2023 goals. Like, slow down, right? So keeping a solid plan. And then, did you get the right people? Because you can have great systems with the wrong people implementing them, and they won't follow them. They won't bring the level of standards you have. Just so that, I think, really has to like come full circle of the plan, the people, the process. But once you have the plan, you have the people. Now I always say, just like, start small. Systematizing, there's a lot in the business that you could systematize. I mean, if we just watched you all day long, every day for a week, there would be a million systems we would probably need to document. And the problem is, because there's so many, people are paralyzed. They are stuck. They just don't see how this can work. And here's where I will tell you this ends. I just worked with somebody, 20 years in business, working 80 hours a week. She feels like there's too much to systematize. It would take her forever to train anybody. So her thinking is, I just got to keep doing it myself. And if you're working 80 hours and you're 20 years into your business, what sign is there? What evidence do you have that it's going to change at year 30? It's not, right? I mean, this is the hamster wheel you are on. And until you just get started, you're not going to feel a difference. And that's the problem that I think people, we want the immediate gratification. So sometimes hiring the person or putting the system in place, it takes a little bit to feel it. And then we think it's not working or they're not good or the system's broken. So then we break it before we can even experience the results, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think my biggest thing is like, start small. There's a couple questions you could probably even ask yourself of like, but where do I start?
Mm-hmm.
So where are you frustrated? Like, when was the last time you got angry in the business? Think about that. You might have been like, oh, this client asked me for a refund because of blah, blah, blah. Okay. Well, what was said when she immediately bought or joined? Did she sign a contract? Was it in the contract? Like, all of this is either a system or a lack of the system being done properly, which is why the expectation wasn't set. She's upset. She wants a refund. You're upset, right? So how can we say, okay, bummer, that is like lesson learned, but let's go fix that system so nobody asks for a refund again because of XYZ.
Right.
Right. So where were you upset today, the last week, the last month? Think of the biggest thing you can think of and then ask yourself, I always say like any frustration you have is just a lack of a good system.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're frustrated, something is missing, right? Something wasn't set, something wasn't delivered, something wasn't repeated, right? Sometimes we have to repeat it a million times for people to grasp it. Another question is like, where are balls dropping? If you're feeling stressed or, oh my goodness, we forgot about this, we forgot about that, right? Where is the system and how can we start implementing there?
Oh, I like that. I love that those are reflective in a personal way, because like you said, if there's a frustration there's a system missing. And so that's a great place to start. It's not going to be a one size fits all, which I think those questions are so thought provoking and good, because it's like, oh, of course, there's a lack there. If it can't be me, or if I can make this where I stop tripping over the same thing, that is where I need to start.
Yeah.
What do you,
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say that's a really good point, Camille. But like some people, like you might have somebody in marketing who's crushing it. And you're like, marketing isn't a pain point right now. I don't even care if she doesn't have that systematized. Like, it's doing really well. We are dropping balls in fulfillment and clients are very unhappy right now. So in that situation, I'm going to say run to fulfillment and systematize. But in another business, it could be the opposite, right? So that's where you really have to be taking an honest assessment of what's happening in your business.
I feel like you kind of answered the questions that I was just about to say is, what do you find is the most common trip up that people need to systematize, that even maybe it's easier than we think. And it's like, oh, I didn't need to be this stressed. I just needed to put steps in place.
I think we are trained to think marketing and sales in business. Like if you go to Amazon and you type in marketing books, there are like hundreds of thousands. If you typed in like client retention or fulfillment or client delivery, there's like, I'm not kidding, hundreds versus hundreds of thousands.
Right.
So we are thinking marketing, 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 because people are telling us to think marketing, marketing, marketing. So a lot of us go to marketing systems first. Now, you might think I don't really have marketing systems, but you do. Whether it's in your head or it is on paper. When do you post on Instagram? How often do you post on Instagram? What types of content do you post on Instagram? Again, it's either in your head or you actually do have it documented. Post on at noon, post on, right? You've got this figured out. So you might already have all of these marketing systems or you're trying marketing systems, but a lot of times people forget what happens when you actually sell them, right? So I always tell people, if you've ever bought a product because the marketing was so good and then you got the product and you're like, this isn't very good. Right? What happens is you'll never buy it again and you'll never tell anybody about it in a good way. You only tell people about it in a bad way and it'll hurt your reputation. Right? So I actually tell people what you should systematize first is your client delivery or like the fulfillment side. Because if you can get that amazing, right? What happens is when people come in, they won't want to leave, and you don't have to have your marketing work so hard. They'll also refer people, which will also help you get free marketing. Once you have client delivery dialed in, now go add fuel to the fire and get the marketing to fill it even more.
Yeah.
I think people are doing marketing, and then they're losing people. They're not retaining people. They're not getting referrals. And then they have to stay on the marketing hamster wheel for so long.
Yeah. And I think that I don't know what the quote is exactly, but it was something to the effect of, it's much easier to sell to a person that's already said yes to you than it is to find someone new. So if you do have a wonderful retention with the people that you have, that just makes your job that much easier.
Yes.
Right? Because you're not having to redo everything.
It's more profitable. So you might be spending however many hours a week on social media, or you're hiring a social media manager and they're spending all this time. Maybe you even have a salesperson and they're getting a cut of it, right? Well, when they come in and they just buy again, you're not having to do all of that work and spend all that time and spend all that money to acquire them, right? Mm-hmm. So there's a lot more profit even when they stay.
Yeah. Ooh, I love it. Mm-hmm. I want to shift gears a little bit to how you took your business and turned it into something you were then teaching online for others to do the same with well-oiled systems or operations. Mm-hmm. What does that look like? And how were you able to create such a high revenue in producing that product online? I'm guessing it's online. Yes,
it is. Yep.
Okay.
Yes. So I think step one was I already had the credibility, or at least then the belief of, wow, people actually value what I'm saying, because I was already getting asked, right?
Right.
People already perceived me as a business owner who knew what they were doing. Right.
Yeah.
So I always tell people, when people want to do something online, but they have not earned that, like they haven't mastered that skill set, it's totally fine. Just go master that skill set. Like spend time mastering your craft first, because when you have real credibility, it's going to be so much easier to sell.
Yeah.
And anybody can master anything if you really want to. Like that's the best part. You can really figure this out and do it. So I think that's the biggest piece, is really just like honing in on the craft, honing in on like your skill sets, right? And then I think from there, I started to I did it for free. So the karate studio came in for free. A dance mom started a chocolate shop. I let her come in for free. And I just gained experience, because I was a credible business owner, but I was not a credible business coach. That's different, right? So I'm like, okay, let's just see. So I started teaching things, and then I was like, oh, wow. Okay. They're getting results. They're telling me this is valuable. And that's where I started to kind of experiment. And I think too, I was already a 7-figure entrepreneur, and I thought, oh, this will be easy. Like, no problem. I'm going to come in and make this like money so fast. Like this will be so easy. And it's different. Right? What you're doing and then what you're teaching to do is different. And for me, it was a different business model. One was in person, one was online. One is they're both services, but one's to children, one's to adults. I mean, there's a lot of differences. Yeah. And I couldn't skip the struggle. And it was really making me mad that I felt like entitled, I think a little bit. Like I've already been doing this for, at the time, maybe 13, 14 years. I'm like, I shouldn't have to do this. Like this should be easier. And that thought can really hurt you, right? Just because you have previous experience does not entitle you to any results. So you have to put in the work again. And that for me, I think was the hardest part of like, okay, time to get my hands dirty, time to get in here, roll up my sleeves and just like grind a little bit. And in the beginning, it definitely took some time. But I was figuring out myself and what I wanted to teach. And I could teach a lot of things. I'd been in business for quite a while. What I want to teach and who I want to teach. Do I want to teach beginners? Do I want to teach advanced people only making 7 figures? Do I want to go to that middle section, right? I had to figure out myself, who I liked, my like almost like where I was best teaching. Maybe I liked somebody the best, but I was better teaching somebody else, right? So these were all things I had to experiment with. And it definitely took a little bit for me to figure out. I will say I made money year 1, but I really struggled like figuring out myself for about 3-4 years. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
All the things were going out of my head. Shiny object syndrome. Who are you to be teaching this? Should you be teaching this? Like, why are you teaching this? Like all of the things, right? So it's like it was me changing the plan after I said, like, don't change the plan. I mean, now that I know is like such a secret sauce of just like pick something and stay there. Right. My friends will message me and go, okay, tell me what you're doing. I know it's working. I just feel like I need to do what you're doing. I'm like, no, you need to do what you're doing and you need to stay doing what you're doing and you will have success. But when you always believe that somebody else has the secret sauce and what they're doing is the only way to do it and the way to make money, and you keep jumping ship, you just keep ending up with like unfinished projects, right?
Yes. Which is so easy to do as a serial entrepreneur if you have that ambition of going after things or being an innovator, which I think is so relatable to most entrepreneurs. We are easily distracted by things we could do. So I love that you say to stay where you are and to pick the thing and do the thing. Was there something in your business that transformed? I love that you said that the struggle was necessary, that was part of the process. It was essential to your growth. Was there a part of your own systemizing your business that changed it from the struggle then to the profit?
I think the staying in my lane and staying like what I call this, like picking the bestseller and only talking about that and only staying there. Once I realized like that's what it was, I blew up so much faster. I mean, we're probably going to do between 6 and 7 million this year. And we're going to be starting like by the end of the year, it'll be starting our 8th year. That's pretty significant, like to go that fast.
Yeah.
But the beginning was like very wishy-washy because I was wishy-washy. I was like, we should do this. We should do that. We should do 17 more products. And that is not the answer. Like finding your one thing, finding your offer, staying there. This way, you only have to market the one thing. You only have to figure out how to fulfill the one thing. You only have to create systems for that one thing. And when you stay there, that's when you can go so much faster. The more you think, like we only have 2 products and we'll hit those numbers. 2 products. That's it.
Wow.
I've met people that are 100,000 a year and they have like 7 products. And it's like, that's not the way to do it. I'm telling you, I was that girl. It's not, there's too much to market. There's too much to fulfill. You need like a gigantic team for that kind of stuff. And you're just, the revenue's not there for that.
Yeah. Can we talk about price point a little bit just to give people a perspective of, you say you have these 2 products and you're doing multiple 7 figures. Can we talk about what the price point of these products are just to give an idea of what that is?
Yeah. So I only do high ticket, which is not totally, I mean, there's some people that only do high ticket. Some people have very low offers. I have found that for me, first of all, it depends on the value you're giving and what you're selling.
Right. Absolutely.
So my products are 9,800 and 30,000. For one's a 6-month, one's a 12-month. Those are pretty gigantic numbers, right? However, when you have testimonials, I did not start at 9,800. Okay. I have to tell you that.
Yeah.
But when you have testimonials that say like one of my testimonials is somebody saying I took her from 30,000 a month to $87,000 a month.
Wow.
When I can show people that and then I say 9,800, they're like, okay, I can, yes. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you don't have those testimonials, I started 7 years ago selling 30-minute private coaching for $97. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because even though like I was still very experienced, I didn't have results getting other people results. And I had to convince people why you should even jump on the phone with me. Now, if you told me, hey, I'll pay you $1,000 for the hour to jump on a call, I would tell you no, because it's just not, which sounds crazy. It's literally not worth my time. Like I could just sell one more $10,000 offer, right? And multiply my time because it doesn't need more of me. So you have to build up from there. So I don't want you to hear high ticket and go high ticket, right? My strategy was I kind of started smaller. And then as I think my first like high ticket offer was like 2,500. And then I was like, okay, it went to like 5,000. And then I went to 700. And now we're at kind of these 2 sweet spots. But I always tell people like, I feel like I sell Mercedes for Honda pricing. So when I feel so strongly about like the deal they're getting, I can sell it so well.
Yes, because you believe it and you know that the results are there, that the ROI is a part of the package. So you can confidently sell it that way.
Like if one of my coaches would say to me something like, one of our clients, says well oil isn't working for her. I would literally say that's impossible. Like, I don't even believe it. It is not possible that it wouldn't work. I'm like, show me what's happening. Tell me what's going on. I can literally spot it. I'm like, it's the plan, the people, the process. One of those is off. One of those is wrong. Like, we just got to dial that in. She either has the wrong plan, she has the wrong people, or she is not systematizing the business. Right. And we can literally just like dissect it and turn somebody around so quickly.
Ooh, I love that. Let's talk a little bit about because I know you're talking about the plan, the people, the process, just as like bite-sized nuggets, are there pieces of systematizing that you could give our audience that can transform or help them in their productivity?
Yeah. I would say number one, we are big believers in auditing your calendar. So, I just audited a client's calendar today. I want to see, what are you doing? Because you think this is normal. This is what it takes. This is what I'm doing. Right. And I'm going, show me what you're doing. And then I'll go, hold up. Why are you checking email like 16 times a day? What's happening here? Why are we in here a million times? And what, you were in there for 2 hours? What's happening? Right. So I'm auditing, where is your time going? And is it actually producing you revenue? Could we be delegating this to somebody else? Could your VA be doing this specific work, right? Could you just be getting notified of the 5 emails you actually have to check versus the 55, including coupons and promotions and stuff that is just garbage, right?
Noise. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think anybody needs to work more than 40 hours a week. Like, there's just no reason, because you might be busy. You might be working 60 hours, 80 hours, but I bet 20 hours, 30 hours is just stuff we could just stop doing and it wouldn't change your bank account.
That's pretty powerful right there. I think that a lot of people are listening to that and probably realizing that. And a lot of times it's not recognizing maybe that you're using the time the way you think you are. So that's a good first step of taking an account of how you really are utilizing your day and what is actually happening.
And ask yourself, like, what was the return on that? Right. So let's say in the beginning, I thought I had to be on every single platform. And, maybe it was like an hour on LinkedIn, an hour over here, and then on YouTube. And then we did this, right? So when we look right now at what is working in my business, it's really Instagram and my podcast. And that is it. Like, that is it. So I used to go live on Facebook every single week. And I was like, why am I doing this? Facebook is not working for me. That doesn't mean that it's not working for everybody else.
Sure.
Facebook was not working for me. Facebook groups were no longer working for me. I was doing them for so long, and I was just doing them because that's what I was taught. And people said you should do that, and lives work and all of that. But we had the data to show us it wasn't. So I could literally see, wow, we brought in 12 new clients from Instagram, but we didn't bring in any from Facebook last month. What if we took the 1 hour a week or the 1 hour a day we spent on Facebook and we put it into Instagram? And I know people are thinking, but like, oh, but there's so many more clients out there. Yes, but I'm barely scratching the surface at multiple 7 figures on just Instagram. Right? Now, if anybody's thinking, but you're supposed to diversify, I'm pretty diversified. Like, I have the podcast, I have email communication, text message communication. I still have Instagram, and we do paid traffic. I don't have to be on 17 free platforms to be diversified.
I like that. I love that you brought up ads, because I feel like that can be like lost in the woods situation with ads. What have you found to be really productive in way of ads? Are you using them on Instagram? How are you using them?
Yeah. So we're only running Facebook and Instagram ads right now.
Okay.
We run ads. I do a weekly live webinar. Okay. So every week I do the exact same webinar, and we just run ads to that specifically.
Interesting. So that's a live webinar, and you're getting enough traffic that you are filling up this webinar with people to see it every single week.
Yeah. We're getting about 1,500 people to opt in every single week.
Wow.
We have about a 25% show up rate.
Okay.
Of those people that come live, which is still like a few hundred people, right?
Yeah, that is good. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So they're showing up, and then that is selling our product.
Wow. That is so fantastic. And that webinar is specifically for the well-oiled operations product.
Yeah. And you know what's funny is people will say to me, oh my goodness, that's a lot. Why do you do so many? I'm like, hold up, 1 hour a week.
Yeah.
I show up. And literally last week alone, we sold 15 of our well-oiled operations.
What?
Don't tell me that an hour a week is too much, right? Like, I think people are so used to being like, but I'm looking for passive and I would like evergreen. But here's the deal. Like, people want to see you live and they have questions and they feel more confident when I'm there and I'm live and they're like, this is how she coaches. This is amazing. And she just coached me and she's in the program. So for me, the data is showing me that the best use of my time is on that webinar once a week for an hour.
So out of curiosity, what program are you using for your webinars, the service?
Demio.
And are you using that so that it's live streaming anywhere else, or is it only going through email? So you're not using like live stream on YouTube or Facebook or Instagram. They have to opt in through an email and show up with probably a Zoom link, I'm guessing.
And the only reason it's not a Zoom link, it's Demio's link. But the only reason we do it is because I can just quit. I could literally go right now and add a date 3 days from now. And Demio just knows what to do with all the messages. It just knows this many days before, this many days after. Like the funnel can keep running and I don't have to do anything but just show up.
I love that. Was that something that do you have a team around you that helps with the processes of that?
Yes.
Tell us about
if I'm not like, I'm the girl teaching, hire a team. So yes.
Oh yes.
Yes, for sure. Yes, but I don't even know how many people are on the team right now. I would say there are probably 10 of us full-time.
Okay.
That are actually full-time employees that work for the company, like round the clock. Which is relatively small when you're looking at like a normal business doing that kind of revenue. I mean, we're not that large. Like our margins are still pretty good. And that's why when people say, like, I don't want to hire a team or I'm afraid to hire a team, but I can only do all of this because of my team doing all of the behind the scenes stuff.
What has been your most successful way to find people to work with you? Where are you posting your job listings? How are you finding these people?
Referrals. So A players hang out with A players. So our last 2 hires came from they were friends of somebody on our team.
Oh, cool.
So that is huge. Like ask the people you love who they are friends with. We use places like Indeed. We use even just my social media accounts. Like I'll even say to my team members, hey guys, post this on your social media. Like tell them your place of like where you're working is looking for people. Because you just never know who knows somebody. And like, especially Facebook, you are friends with people you don't even know, right? Yeah. So put it out there and let's see who we get. But yeah, we try to just put it everywhere.
I love that so much. Well, this has been absolutely fascinating. I love your story and how candid you've been about every step along the way. For people who are listening and maybe in those first waffling stages of going back and forth, feeling confusion, what advice would you give to them?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is just like, there are so many ways to make money. Like you could do it so many different ways. There's not a one right way. Like everything you just heard me say, that's just one of the many options that are out there. So pick a way that feels good to you and like have it for the right reasons, and then just stay there and stay consistent and you will see results. Now, sometimes the results take longer than you want it. You have to get good at still moving forward without seeing the results. And that's the hard part. People want to give up too soon. You just got to keep staying consistent. It will come.
That's really good advice. What do you hope that your children are learning from you, watching you build this business?
Yeah, I really hope my kids like never want a real job. Like I really hope they have seen what I'm doing. Like I unfortunately have seen families that say, oh, I don't want mom's business. Like that looks awful. I don't ever want to do, I know she works too much. I want my kids to be like, I would never have a 9-to-5. Look at mom and dad having all this freedom and all of this stuff. Right. So I'm hoping that I'm an example of like what is possible when you own a business.
Absolutely. And this is a question I like to ask a lot of my entrepreneurs that come on is there a morning routine or ritual that you do that helps to ground you or create balance in your life?
Yeah. I am so like you could ask me a year ago to be totally different than it is now.
Yep. That's relatable. Yeah, absolutely.
Right now I'm in a season of honestly, like I have more nighttime routines than I have morning routines.
Okay.
So my morning routine is like get up and get to work. Like I'm very good with like being alone, and I want to use that time to create content. Like that's one of my main jobs is I create marketing content, course content, coaching, like all of that. Mm-hmm. So I want my brain as fresh as it is in the morning, quiet in the house when everybody's sleeping. So I get up and I get right to work. But like at night, that's when I'm like winding down, and really kind of it starts after my workday. So when I wrap up my workday, I usually do a workout, which I used to work out in the morning. But for me, as an entrepreneur, being so busy, it's actually better for me at the end of the day to like de-stress. And it also kind of helps me pivot out of the workday into like being mom, being just like a wife, right? Trying to do a walk in the afternoon, like after work is over. Like I'll go outside and go for a walk. My one rule is I'm in Wisconsin, so it has to be over 0 degrees. And I will literally go out in like 9-degree weather and go for a walk. Like I want to get outside. And then like stopping all phone. I don't really watch TV on the weeknights, but like getting off my phone by a certain time, like a couple hours before bed, reading before bed. And it can be fiction. It's not even like fueling my brain with something motivational or nonfiction or business. It's just like, no, I'm literally trying to like decompress. Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do a lot more of evening stuff. And then in the morning, it's like, let's go, like game on.
What time are you waking up? That has me curious when you said your kids are still sleeping.
Oh yeah. Between like 5 and 6.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Early riser.
And like that's
have you always
natural.
been like an early riser?
I have not, but now I will wake up naturally between 5 and 6. Like this morning I woke up without an alarm at about 5:30.
Wow. That's awesome. Well, please.
But I go to bed early. I go to bed.
Okay. What time do you go to
at minimum 9 o'clock.
Okay. So you were
so
late.
I mean, 9 to 5, I've got a full 8 hours in.
Yes. Oh, bless your heart. When your kids aren't teenagers yet, are they?
Okay, that's what everybody says. I'm like, listen, I cannot
You'll be out.
fathom. I am going to have to like hire somebody to sit in my living room and make sure they go to sleep because I am not staying up past 9 o'clock.
They will. That's when they will want to talk to you. They will want to talk to you late at night.
I'm in for a rude awakening because I really like to go to bed at 9.
Oh, that's so funny. Well, this has been so much fun. I have loved talking with you so much. Please tell our audience where they can find you online.
Yeah. So a couple places. The podcast is Well-Oiled Operations. We have the book on Amazon. It's like $10, Well-Oiled Operations. Otherwise, Instagram, just at my name, at Stacy Tuschl. You can find me there. I have so much content to keep you busy for sure.
Wow. Well, awesome. Thank you again.
Yeah, thank you.
If you are listening to this episode and thinking that you too need some help or to create some white space in your life as an entrepreneur, you can connect with me and I will line you up with a virtual assistant who has graduated from my 60 Days to VA program who can help you save time and money. This is one thing that has been so fulfilling for me in my program is that I'm helping so many entrepreneurs find space for themselves so that they can keep going and stay connected with what matters most. I'll talk to you later and thank you for watching the show. See you next week. Hey CEOs, thank you so much for spending your time with me. If you found this episode inspiring or helpful, please let me know in a comment and a 5-star review. You could have the chance of being a featured review on an upcoming episode. Continue the conversation on Instagram at Call Me CEO Podcast. And remember, you are the boss.